Thank you, Phil. Thank everyone for showing up today. This is definitely an initiative that is going to benefit the industry moving forward. So we have appreciate the opportunity to talk about this project. It's near and dear to my heart for lots of different reasons. Not the least of which is it was a lot of work, and I and a lot of people from our team have a lot of hours in this project. It was grueling to some degree. Also, the most fun project that we've ever completed, and so that means a lot when you're discussing projects that move at the pace that this project did. It's helpful to have the morale in the right place. That makes a lot of things makes up for a lot of difficulties down the road. So anyway, this was a fantastic project. It was. I want to talk about the project a little bit, some of the stats of the project, but also the delivery method by which we were contracted to perform the project. Okay, how many people have participated in lean IPD? So we have some in the room. Very good. So we hadn't. This was our first lean IPD project. But we had our eyes on IPD for some time because I attended the Construction Users Roundtable a few years ago, and some of the largest construction buyers in the world, attend that conference. And some of the things that I heard at that conference were from builders that obviously know what it takes to build their buildings. They've been building buildings for decades. And when people like Merck Pharmaceutical or Procter & Gamble, those were the two that were doing presentations, and both of them said, this is the way we're doing our projects. We're building our projects, we're spending less money, our contractors are making more money, and everybody wants to work together at the end of the job. They still want to do another job together. And so, obviously, I'm going to be a little bit skeptical about that. But then I heard some panel discussion and I had some discussion with those folks, and that's the legitimate truth. And I think as we go through this presentation, you can see why. All right, so lean integrated project delivery. This is a construction project delivery method that emphasizes collaboration and integration of all project stakeholders under a single contract to optimize project outcomes and maximize efficiencies. In other words, you're almost coming together to form it's like you're one company. All the stakeholders are part of a risk pool, and you're either winning together or losing together. There's no I. There's only the team. And so on our team, the owner was present, architect and engineering firm was present, general contractor, trade contractors that were part of the core group or the risk pool were the site contractor, the concrete contractor, that was us. Electrical contractors, two of those, two mechanical contractors, a steel contractor, a steel erector, sprinkler guy, and the controls. And so I'm happy to say that I learned a lot more about all those other trades through this process than I ever would have, otherwise. So these projects are orchestrated based on the tenets of lean. The Lean Construction Institute has these 6 tenets of lean, including optimize the whole, generate value, eliminate waste, focus on flow, continuous improvement, and the most important one is respect for people. So respect for people is it's really the fundamental principle of lean. It's the glue that holds it all together. If you don't have that, none of the rest of the stuff works. And so you can call all you want to and have meetings and all that. It all comes together because you have respect for your fellow trade contractors, a general contractor, and owner, and everybody's in it together. And so optimize the whole is another one. You're collaboratively planning for the big picture and using the last planner system. And most people here have probably heard of pool planning, or maybe heard the term last planner system, but not that many projects, by my experience, actually go through the entire process of all the last planner system. And that's very important to get the full benefit, to go through everything from creating your milestone plan and your 6 week look at your phase pull plan, your 6 week look ahead plan, which is a make work ready plan, your 1 week work plan. All those things have to be utilized, and then at the end of each week, recording your percent plan complete, or how well you actually accomplished what you set out to do at the beginning of the week, and address why you may have fallen short. No project has 100% plan percent complete. A good project seems to have around 75 or 80 consistently, is about what I've seen. Generating value. So this goes back to the Toyota system. Generating value. It's generating value in the eyes of the customer. If the customer won't buy it, it's not valuable to them. And you have to look at things that you're doing when you're helping with design collaboration, and you're making decisions about how to build a project. Are you doing something that's actually going to bring value to the project and value to the owner? That's the basis. So elimination of waste. Waste is anything that does not add value. That takes many forms. It can be extra materials. That's the obvious thing that people think of, but it can also be wasted time or talent. It can be, waiting for information. It can be, any number of things that keeps you from being optimally productive. So, elimination of waste. Focus on flow. So, the team should strive for each contractor to work unobstructed, no physical obstacles or delays, waiting on information, late deliveries, or trade stacking. Is that like utopia for a contractor, or what? How often does that actually happen? Well, it does happen some, and you have to have that in mind, and you're trying to make that happen all the time, or it won't happen very much at all. So you have to focus on that, and there's a whole system for it's called TACT planning, that you can utilize to make sure that all the contractors and tradesmen on site are sizing their crews appropriately and operating in a fashion so that the work flows. Continuous improvement, that's unreachable. But if you don't strive for that, then you'll fall short of what you can do. So. A comparison table. So, over my 30 years of construction management, I can validate the traditional construction being command and control leadership, push schedules versus pull planning, silos, meaning each contractor is worried about their own budget, their own critical path versus the project's critical path, and just let's see, schedules dissolve into chaos, the flow goes away, everybody has a good plan. The Mike Tyson quote, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, everybody gets punched in the mouth on a construction project. It's just all it has to happen is a little bit of rain one day and you got punched in the mouth. So you got to be able to recover from that. Let's see, getting done, trades follow and go where they're told. That is a recipe for inefficiency in the construction industry. It happens to us all the time. We're bouncing around and getting done whatever is available to work on and never finishing anything. I mean, that's the kind of construction site. I mean, when you think about all this stuff, why do we do it? I mean, this is it's kind of like we feel like we're cavemen here sometimes, because there are better ways to go about doing things, and we're out to try to figure that out. So conversely to that, lean construction, respect for people and listening to learn together, pull planning and constraint management, visual planning controls. There's a lot of posters, a lot of whiteboards, a lot of screens, a lot of visual. That's one thing about lean construction, is everything's so transparent. When you're on one of those projects, everything's so transparent. You don't have to go very far to get the information you're looking for, okay? And that's helpful. Holistic approach to planning and executions. You know, you're looking for the big picture. TAC planning and creating flow. We talked about that a little bit, and continuous improvement. All right, so the name of this project is Wolfspeed. That's the name of the company. This project produces silicon carbide. It is in rural North Carolina off of Highway 64 in Siler City. When we were signed up for this project, the engineering firm and architecture firm and general contractor were signed up 2 weeks before us. This site that you see here, actually, we started with this napkin sketch. That's all that was there when we all got signed up to perform this project. And there were a lot of cows out here instead of equipment. That was a cow field and a cow pasture. And so that's a few weeks into it there. But we were all in, the point being, we were all in from the very beginning and committed to the job. So I talked about the risk pool members. This is what we call the core group. The core group has one representative from each of the risk pool members and an alternate, and you are committed to the project. All of the folks that you see at that table, I mean, these are my words, not theirs, but you know, it's kind of like a board of directors for the project or something. You operate and make all the decisions. We take votes on things. We figure out, you know, what we want to spend money on, where the contingencies are spent, and all those things. That goes through the core group, and everybody there has one vote. And so that includes the owner. The owner, engineer, general contractor, all the trade contractors. We're all in it together. So we're all on a level playing field, and we have absolutely no reason to have the best interest in the big picture in every decision that we make. So what do we get out of that? You know, I got a lot of good friends out of it, to be honest with you. This is us with in a team building event at Top Golf. You know, we spent time with these folks. We spent so much time. When you're in it, you feel like you're in a tunnel and you're focused on things, but I spent so much time with these people planning things and being invested in this project, and all of us putting everything we could into it, that I knew them better after the first 6 months of working with them, that I've known people that I've known for 20 years and worked with for 20 years. But that's because I had more interaction with them. We solved more problems together. That's how you get to know people. So just some milestones for the project. We had temporary agreements that started, they were issued on June of 2022. That's how you operate contractually, to bill, to get paid, and do your work and play your role up until the point where you have what's called the integrated form of agreement. The IPD agreement is reached, and that was reached in May 2023. So validation of schedule and budget for the basis of design that was created, which we had a big part in playing in the input into that basis of design. That was July 2023, so we actually started placing foundations in April 2023. Steel erection started in June 2023. We topped the structure out in March, and the first building was turned over for beneficial use 1 year after we started standing steel. The project is going to be completed in May. My observations of the successful IPD program are the owner involvement is critical to the success of the process. It really needs to be driven by the owner. It can be managed by the general contractor and the lead design firm, but the owner has got to be completely bought into it. Contractual fairness between all parties is paramount. That just sets the tone for the entire project. I've been signing contracts for a long time. This is the most fair one I've ever signed. And, you know, you don't have, we went through several months of negotiating this contract, and it was like everybody that was in the risk pool and our attorneys, you know, and when we got finished with it, everybody was happy with the product. So it is possible for that to happen. But that's pretty much a first for me that I can think of. The general contractor and design firms have to value the collaboration and input of the trade contractors. Now that's a serious piece there, because if a person either on the trade contractor side or the engineering side are not bought into that, then you won't get the benefit out of it, and that entity needs to be replaced. If they're going to play that role, you got to use all of the experience and knowledge in the room to make the decisions that you make on design. A lot of that time is spent in face-to-face meetings, and that may seem like a waste of time, or from the outside looking in, why do you have to sit there when you can just have meetings online, or you can design something and send it, and what do you like this or whatever? That's typically what, the kind of thing that happens. That wasn't the way this happened at all. We met and we were in person together talking through, this is what the basic design requires for. Now, how should we go about designing this so we can have the most efficient design to construct? An owner is gonna spend more money on the front end, but the return on the efficiency of the construction in an IPD environment is going to be many times over what the cost of that design is up front. It doesn't take even looking at the numbers to see that. When you walk across the project and you see 3,000 people working and everybody there looks like they're on a mission, it's impressive. It's something I hadn't seen in the past, and so that's why it makes such an impact on me. Another thing, trade partners have to have the discipline to participate in a lot more multi-scope planning than is customary. And, just about the time that I'm in a mechanical meeting and they've been talking for 45 minutes about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the concrete guy, and I start, kind of trailing off, something will come up that needs my attention, where I need to raise my hand and say, if we do this, X is going to happen, that kind of thing. So you got to be laser focused and in the room and have the discipline to participate in a lot more meetings. And the only way that can happen is the meetings have to be very productive, to the point. When you get finished with the meeting, there's been a lot of thinking going on. You're tired. The IPD process puts a lot of focus on the efficiency of the tradesmen putting the work in place. And just like I was saying, no one is waiting for materials, waiting for information. You got that many people working, and they all have an understanding of what they need to be doing next and what the priorities are, and the communication and collaboration even amongst your own team members, so that there's not somebody looking for a widget or walking over here. I mean, it's a machine when everybody goes to work, and that it's nice to see. So as I was talking before about trade partner involvement, face-to-face meetings between designers and trade partners, you are continuously estimating. It's pretty much a full-time effort for estimating. Continuous constructability review. I would, I welcome those kind of phone calls when the engineer will call us and say, we got a couple options here. What do you think about this or this? Those are the kind of decisions and input that we can provide that pays dividends down the road. So target value delivery, you can't have, when you start one of these projects, there's something that's not going to be designed, and you're going to have a budget for it and say it's X dollars, and you got it because it's not as high on the priority list as other things. And so when you have that budget you have, that becomes your target value. So you as a trade partner and the GC and all the other trade partners have to provide the input necessary to do everything that you possibly can to make sure that that is designed so that it can be built and installed for the budget you got. Target value delivery. Trust between all parties, that's critical. So timeline, kicked it off in 2022, steel erection in June. First production area turned over to the owner for use on June of 2024, and full owner occupancy of May 2025 is expected. So there's a picture of the site. You can see all the trade trailers and everything down at the lower part of it. That's several weeks back, but here are some statistics about the project. So it's 2.2 million square feet facility, about 470 acre site. 2 million tons of rock was blasted, crushed, and reused on the site. 27,000 tons of steel, 150,000 cubic yards of concrete, 23,000 tons of cooling. We couldn't say how many hundreds of megawatts of power for the owner's reasons. There were 300,000 square feet of clean room space. That has 5.8 million man hours. It's actually up to about 6.1 million man hours at this point, and 2,900 peak daily workforce. So for the first 11 months on this project, when you look back and start looking at the numbers, for the first 11 months on this project, including days where we couldn't pour anything because we had no placements because it was raining or one thing or another prevented us from placing the concrete, we averaged 500 cubic yards a day from the day we started placing concrete, the day you started digging foundations. I thought that was, I mean, for us, that was a huge project. I mean, that was, you know, that was enormous effort there. But you know what? It felt big, but it didn't feel hard. It felt well planned. The safety numbers, our project site ended our safety with a total recordable incident rate of 0.6, between 0.6 and 0.7. You know, that's 1/4 or better than the national average. Our company had a 0.44 TRIR, equally important. And let's see, just some thoughts about how, you know, so how did this IPD advance productivity from a concrete perspective? To align with the PRO initiative, you know, the morale on the job was much better than a typical project, and with this magnitude and schedule, you know, it's a you know, the Three Musketeers deal, all for one and one for all. Constructible design for all the trades due to collaboration with the designers. Handoff between trades was well planned and executed. Collaboration, transparency, and respect between all the parties. Trades planning together for efficiency resulted in high productivity. You know, I don't want to paint a picture like everything went perfect out there, but when something didn't go perfect, like the plumber couldn't get his trenches backfilled fast enough to stay ahead of us with our slabs. I mean, anybody who's a concrete contractor in the room, I'm sure you've seen that before. You know, we did the backfill for the plumbing. We changed the program up. So, I mean, just the decisions that you make on the fly like that can optimize things with people not working in their own silos makes a tremendous impact on the project. Let's see, meetings were very productive, sometimes exhausting. Like I say, you do a lot of thinking, you're on point all the time. You know, when those meetings start, as soon as they're supposed to start, they finish as soon as they're supposed to finish, and you go in order of priority solving problems. And if you need to schedule another meeting or schedule a sidebar meeting, you do that. Or assign like a tiger team or a focus team to try to get through a certain issue that might have come up. As I said before, we learned a lot about the other trades. I didn't know much about sprinkler guys or process controls. I still don't know much. I still feel like a caveman when I'm listening to those guys talk about controls, but I know a lot more about it than I did before, and you know, above everything else, I got a lot more respect after understanding what makes other contractors productive than I had before with my limited experience prior. So innovation and value engineering were expected. So from the contract, some relational type IPD clauses. So each IPD team member accepts the relationship of mutual trust, good faith, and fair dealings. Excuse me. Actively promoting harmony and cooperation among all parties participating in the project. Create a culture of integrity and open and honest communication. Create a culture of goodwill and always act to promote high morale with the project staff. Lead by example by demonstrating the behavior you expect from others, and agree to cooperate and exercise skill and judgment to further the interest of the project. Back to optimize the whole. Everything you're doing is trying to eliminate waste, bring value, optimize the whole, back to those tenets of lean. So there's the topping out beam that had everybody's signature on it from the core group. And that is all that I have.